I've never used an English wheel before, but if I want to make this OEM Plus style wide body, I need to learn how to use one and don't fuck it up. Here we go. All right, I'm an absolute noob in English wheeling, obviously. So if you've got any tips or tricks, I'm all ears because I do not want to get this wrong and I'm very open to some constructive criticism. All right, I'll spin this camera around. There it is. It was actually really easy to put together. Haven't gotten it out of the box before today. I've had it for a little while. I got this one from Extra Machinery there. Thing seems pretty good. Although, first thing I've noticed is the wheel alignment here, which is completely whack. So I'm gonna see if I can fix that up. And then I'll cut some sheet metal off and do some wheeling and see how the sheet metal behaves. That actually took a little while to line the wheels, but I assume that if I just spend a little bit more time here, I'll get a better result and obviously won't have any, and I'll have less variables when I'm trying to learn, which is what you want. You can see there, oh, it's really hard to see, but I've got the center of the roller. That roller is actually radiused on the bottom a little bit. So I've got the center of that roller here, riding on the center of that roller there, so that looks pretty good. All right, let's cut a little piece off and I'm gonna have a play around. Before I go too far, I should explain to you what I'm actually trying to achieve here. So what I'm trying to do is make an R34 four-door look like it came from the factory as a GTR. So I'm not trying to replicate the coupe at all because the coupe lines are actually completely different at the rear. So all the other kits you can get are trying to replicate that coupe look. I'm trying to steer away from that because the lines are just completely different. The rear looks completely different to a coupe. So why are we trying to add this hip line down here? It just doesn't seem to work for me. So you can get a couple of different wide body kits. The best one that I've seen, which still is trying to replicate that coupe look, is the Akubo factory. And it's very expensive, so I priced it up. It was gonna be about 20 grand landed here in Australia, which is just half the value of this car, so I just couldn't justify it. That one does look very nice and it does mold pretty well with the rear, like it even makes it wider here, and it even comes with a different rear bar and new rear quarter and door skins, like it all goes over the top. So it does look really nice, but it just doesn't quite look right to me. Then there's the Uras. It's more drift sort of inspired. So yeah, it's just tack on over fenders, and then there's a big gap here and stuff, and it just looks a bit weird to me. So I actually saw a top secret car the other day that had like a GTR over fender, and it had a weird treatment here, looked really odd, so I'm gonna stay away from that one. Then I've actually seen people like a Kubo factory actually graft on the coupe rear quarters onto a sedan and use the coupe taillights. I personally don't like the look of it. It looks all like squished and weird because the boot is actually longer on a four-door than the coupe, so it looks like really squished out and kind of long to me, if you know what I mean. So I'm not going to go there. It's just not worth it. So what I'm going to try to do here is work in with these sort of factory lines that they've put in here. So from what I can see, they were trying to like emulate the car being wider, where the line starts really small at the front and then comes to the back. You can see there, which does kind of give the illusion of it looking wider, but that also like makes the rear bar too low in my opinion, like the top of the rear bar too low in my opinion. It should be starting here and go to sort of that angle there, and that's exactly what the East Bear rear bar does. So I'm going to work with that. That'll be a really good starting point. It's still on the boat from China. It's not carbon fiber, it's just fiberglass, so I'm not expecting much from it, but it'll be a really good point to start from, and then I can modify it. And then onto the rear quarters. This is what I plan to do. So obviously this section here needs to come out to match the tyre. You can see there, which is actually 30 mil wider from the existing lip there to where it should be. So I'm gonna make a new, hang on, I'll just get my pen. Yeah, paint pen, I'll draw it on the car for you. All right, you can sort of see where I've done a Nico mark. So I want to match the R34 GTR front fenders to the rear. And I feel this is how the factory would have done it. They wouldn't have added this like a big hip line through there. I think they would have worked in with what they've originally planned here and brought it out, just like the coupe. You can see, I'll just draw it on the car here. Oh. So from around there, I'll just draw around there. So you can sort of see in that sort of area, that's where the flare will come out. I'll just come over here. You can see that the fender here has a bit of a radius there, and I want to match that. Otherwise, if it looks flat, it won't look factory. It'll look like a tacked on over fender. Hope that made sense. That was pretty long-winded, but I got there. It will make sense, trust me. The bottom of the rear door, I'm gonna make come out and do all sorts of cool stuff to make it look more OEM rather than just like tacked on. And the same goes with this rear section, because the rear bar, the top of the rear bar is going to be a bit higher. I'm basically going to delete that section in there and bring this out and match it in with that. So it's going to look pretty sick. Like, as I said, I'm trying to make it look as OEM as possible, but just no one has seemed to pull it off right. Like, they're always like trying to be a coupe, and they're just not a coupe. I've played around a little bit more. I'm still a mega noob. This is the result. I used the 12-inch bottom wheel there, which is the 12-inch radius on that face there. So I've used my profile gauge on the front fenders, obviously trying to match the front to the rear. So if you can see there, profile's not quite there. It's still a little bit too shallow. So I went to the next size up in this kit, which is a 6-inch one. I'm way less Gumby with the wheel. I'm sort of working out how to shift the sheet metal out without doing weird stuff and all that. So practice makes perfect, just keep doing it. So I'll get there. This is with about 2 minutes on the wheel and it looks spot on. So I'm gonna use the 6-inch bottom wheel to make that curvature there. You can see that that's starting to get a bit of a curve in it. So that's actually really nice. Makes it heaps stronger too. It's actually really cool. You can see the light shining off it there. You can see I wheeled it a little bit too much here. Not enough there. But I wasn't actually trying to get the right curve in here. It just seemed to work out. Well, I'm actually pretty chuffed with this result. This is the first, well, the second piece of metal that I used. So I think I'm like on the money already. Hopefully this isn't a fluke, but it could be. But it seems to be working out really well. So ignoring that flat section there, that's really rough. That's just to give you an idea. So you can see that I've almost gotten the width right. First go, and you can see that convex shape there, so I'll be able to cut along the flat section there and weld up above the flare, so it'll be really nice and neat. And you can see this is quite nice in this area. I've used the 9-inch radius wheel there and the 5-inch a little bit more in this section to give it a little bit more of a kick on this area. And I think that actually looks quite good. So next is to start using these fenders. I'm going to use front fenders to make the rear flare on here. And yeah, that's on the next episode. I've just decided to have a crack. So there's my first effort. Not great. Yeah, not too bad either. I won't use this one, but that's generally what it's gonna look like.